In the beginning of the series, we see a cute, happy-go-lucky-natured girl, Ivy. She's a bit silly and likes her childhood friend Zane, who also happens to be the class topper. The pair is also neighbors with each other, and he never minds her silly actions or low grades. One day, Ivy musters up a lot of courage to confess her feelings to him, but the boy simply rejects her proposal right there and then. That too, by being brutally honest and telling her that he doesn't like her. Ivy is left heartbroken, but has no option but to accept his response. Thanks to Zane's good looks and grades, he's considered an ideal for the schoolgirls, including the class beauty Nancy. The girl is always looking for an excuse to come talk to him shyly, causing the backbenchers to tease them and Ivy to want to combust into flames out of jealousy. Next day, Ivy gets scolded by her math teacher for being dumb and scoring a 0 in her math test. Zane also happens to be there, and Ivy feels embarrassed about it as the teacher warns her to improve her grades if she wishes to study further. On the other hand, Nancy is once again seen approaching Zane and asking about his preparation for the upcoming tests. Poor Ivy is left to be jealous about it and seeks her best friend Adrian's help. Adrian is known for his extraordinary creative writing skills when it comes to writing a love letter. It's revealed that he once tried using that skill on his crush, but the letter got intercepted by some bullies who had quite a lot of fun reading it aloud and teasing him about it. At that time, he was saved by Scarlett, a girl with the guts to beat bullies, and the incident made him instantly fall in love with her. On the other hand, Ivy refuses to give up on Zane and decides to keep pursuing him until he changes his mind. She plans to propose to him again in the rap style. While she's at it, a new admission guy overhears her practicing the confession and instantly gets impressed, going as far as taking her as his boss. Abraham even starts calling her bro as a way to show his admiration for her skill. Later, he introduces himself to the class as a swimming athlete and continues to befriend Ivy. Meanwhile, Ivy is so caught up in her bubble of love that she uses the exam sheet to write a love confession, which gets caught by the teacher, who mockingly starts reading it aloud. However, both Abraham and Zane jump to her rescue, calling the teacher out for violating the student's privacy. The teacher has no choice but to recede as more students start joining the voice, leaving the young people feeling victorious. Later that night, Ivy visits a karaoke bar with her friends to celebrate the end of exams. On their way out of the place, the group spots their school dean on the road and rushes to hide away. Abraham gets hurt on his shoulder while trying to protect Ivy from falling, as they all manage to escape the dean's eyes. However, the casual hit at the moment turns out to be quite dangerous, as Abraham fails to keep up his first position during the swimming competition next day. However, the boy soon gets over his gloomy mood upon watching Ivy cheer for him. On the other hand, Zane is also revealed to have feelings for Ivy, but he seems to be hiding them for some reason. Since Ivy lost her bicycle on the night of their outing, he offers to give her a ride to school, which she accepts delightfully. Ivy decides to contest for the position of class president against Nancy and another of her classmates. Soon, the girls end up in a tie with equal votes on their side and needing just one more vote to decide the winner. Zane, being the last person to vote, chooses Nancy over Ivy, leaving the girl heartbroken. She angrily confronts him for choosing another girl over his childhood friend, and angrily kicks him in the shin for saying that he thought Nancy is more capable. With Nancy being the class president, Ivy is made the vice class president as the first runner-up. However, she soon makes the mistake of forgetting the collected class funds in a notebook that is sent to the staff room. Feeling scared to face a lunatic teacher in the staff room, the girl seeks Scarlett and Adrian's help, but the pair fails to retrieve her notebook without getting caught. Ivy has no other choice but to beg for Zane's forgiveness and request for his help. The young man seems to be still angry about the kick and coldly suggests that she go kick the teacher as well. However, he is seen placing the retrieved money envelope on her desk when the teacher asks her about the collection that she's supposed to hand over. Although pretending as if it's not a big deal, the young man had to put quite a lot of effort in retrieving the envelope for her. A few days later, the school announces a field track to encourage extracurricular activities amongst the students. A prize money of $100 is also announced that instantly becomes the source of attraction for Ivy, who has her eyes on an expensive watch for Zane's birthday gift. She instantly starts preparing for the competition, but luck seems to despise the girl quite strongly given her short legs, and the first competition being the hurdle race. It doesn't help that even the swimming athlete, Mr. Abraham, appears to have 2 feet in this sport, leaving him unable to train her. With no other way to learn, the pair head to the library to gain more knowledge, but she looks more interested in reading comics than educating herself about the hurdle race. Zane is seen secretly watching and smiling at her antics. On the other hand, Scarlett practices for the sack race with Adrian and ends up getting hurt in the process. The girls were supposed to play in the form of a pair, but Scarlett's injury leaves the entire responsibility for the relay race on Ivy's little shoulders. The girl is a bundle of nerves on the day of competition, but Zane's cheerleading and a teddy bear mascot's support work like magic, helping her win the competition. Wearing a bunny ears headband is definitely against an upright Zane's principles, but he does it for her anyway. On the other hand, a secret flashback reveals the teddy bear mascot to be none other than Abraham. While the victory brings joy to Ivy and her class, they're soon destined to face disappointment when the prize money turns out to be $25 instead of the promised $100. Disappointed, the group of friends decides to bunk the rest of the classes and try to jump out of the school's back gate. However, the school guard's arrival ruins their plan as they all run for their lives in different directions, while Adrian sacrifices himself to let his friends escape. Once out of the school, Scarlett encounters the school doctor, Mr. Mark, who points out her ripped trousers and offers his jacket to cover it with. Scarlett is instantly swooned by the romantic hero-like gesture, while the man walks away nonchalantly. Since Ivy doesn't have much interest in her studies, she's always the first to participate in anything that suggests otherwise. And so she decides to participate in the drama club's play competition, coming up with a perfect script featuring her and Zane as the main leads. However, Nancy beats her in asking the man of her dreams to play Romeo for her. Zane doesn't agree right away, but they're made a pair nonetheless by the recruiters of the drama club. Ivy can only bite her nails in regret. The drama committee starts taking suggestions for scripts next, and as expected, Ivy's script doesn't get to pass the audition test. The girl is then assigned the responsibility of handling the background preparations for the play Romeo and Juliet. On the other hand, Scarlett, influenced by her puppy love, starts visiting the medical room frequently. It's a stomachache once and a headache another time. Sometimes it's just a casual visit as she claims it to be dropping by. Meanwhile, Ivy prepares a list of songs and music that are to be played in the background of the romantic drama. However, she accidentally records her conversation with Scarlett, complaining about how she should have been the Juliet in the play. It doesn't help that the music is played at the climax of the play, where Romeo leans in to kiss his lover. But instead of a soft, sweet melody, what plays in the background is Ivy's whining about deserving to be Juliet. The sudden switch not only impacts the play's ambience, but also makes her a laughingstock for everyone. Ivy is too embarrassed to face anyone, and we see Abraham consoling her when Zane storms in on them and calls her a loser before leaving in the same fast and furious mode. The girl decides to switch schools, considering how she doesn't think she can face anyone at the school, but when Zane hears about it, he requests her to abandon the idea and stay back. And like any other infatuated person, Zane's simple request makes her give up on the plan to leave instantly. A few days later, Adrian comes up with the idea to participate in a singing competition and discusses it with his friends on the lunch table. As always, Ivy instantly gets excited to try it, and Abraham follows her footsteps like a loyal minion. The trio excitedly prepares for the audition and manages to pass the first round. So they travel to another city for the next round, while their friends prepare to accompany them to the audition. They end up failing it miserably, so much so that the management has to drag them off the stage with a strict warning to never try singing again. Since the auditions are being held in another city, the group of 5 lies to their parents about staying at each other's home. However, Abraham's lie gets almost exposed as his coach insists on talking to his friend's father, and Adrian fails to play the role perfectly. Still, they decide to bite the bullet and turn off the mobile phone. The night is spent stargazing and playing games. One of the games includes writing their secrets on a paper each, without a mention of their names, and leaving them on the table to let others pick one to read. Adrian decides to confess his love for Scarlett in a roundabout way, and she gets to read it as well, but fails to pinpoint the writer among the 3 boys. Meanwhile, Ivy gets to read a secret that says, "I like Ivy." The girl immediately blushes hard, imagining it to be from Zane, but Abraham looks upset after reading the secret he picked up. We don't get to see what it's about though, and the scene shifts to them being back to school. With Ivy's approaching birthday, the girl is looking forward to spending some time with Zane as a special gift. Being aware that he may not agree to accompany her to any other place, the girl uses a honey trap and invites him to watch a Manchester United Football Club's match over the weekend. Since it's his favorite club, Zane readily agrees to the invitation. On the other hand, Abraham wins a swimming competition and credits his success to Ivy in front of the media, which leads to rumors circulating that the pair is dating each other. Like any other tsundere character, Zane doesn't seem to like the idea of Ivy being with someone else when he himself never makes a positive approach towards the girl. Meanwhile, Ivy finds the match tickets to be too expensive for her affordability and decides to settle for the team's t-shirts and watch the match from the screen. The girl excitedly surprises him with the new shirt, but Zane ends up scolding under the influence of his jealousy with Abraham. Not just that, poor Ivy is left heartbroken when he tries to pay the shirt's price rudely. She angrily throws his money back at him and leaves. Later, Zane learns about Ivy's birthday from Scarlett, who reveals how excited the girl has been to watch her favorite idol group perform at the end of the match. The revelation leaves Zane feeling guilty for his unawareness, and he calls her to confirm the outing on the weekend. Ivy is beyond ecstatic with not only the man of her dreams' company, but also because her father manages to get her 2 tickets for the match. However, things don't go as planned and the tickets turn out to be fabricated on the day of the match. The pair is prohibited from entering the stadium, but they still manage to make the best out of it. They spend time on the entrance stairs of the stadium while listening to the music coming from the stadium speakers. Sloyi decides to use this chance to ask him if he could reveal to her the secret that he wrote that night. With her delusional self, she's still under the impression that the confession written for her was from him. However, Zane's response leaves her at a loss of words as he simply rewrites it for her. The message reads, "I'm not interested in this game." The realization that the confession was from Abraham leaves the girl utterly shocked and at a loss if knowing what to do. Ivy turns to Scarlett for help in this matter, but Scarlett, being the relatively sane person, suggests that she should stop running after someone who doesn't value her. The girl believes that Abraham is better than Zane in all aspects, especially the ones that concern emotional intelligence. However, love isn't that easy to give up on. Ivy still gives the suggestion some thought only to find it inappropriate, so she decides to confront Abraham about it. Poor boy manages to discern from her stance that she's going to reject him, so he decides to save himself some honor by laughing it off and saying that he was just playing around wanting to tease her. Silly that she is, Ivy instantly believes the bluff. It's revealed that Abraham had drawn Ivy's confession that had read that the man of her dreams is. On the other hand, Scarlett is shown to have practically turned into a stalker as she follows Dr. Mark to almost everywhere. That includes secretly following him to the movies and buying the same ticket after him in a bid to keep an eye on his movements. On the other hand, a flashback from the group's game night reveals that Abraham picked Ivy's secret, which had a confession about her beloved man sitting by her side. He of course understood what it meant and took himself out of the race. Days pass, and as Christmas Eve approaches, Ivy and Scarlett prepare handmade cards for their respective crushes. Everyone, including Adrian, is busy thinking about gift ideas for their favorite people, except Zane, who looks blissfully clueless towards the preparations going around him. Even Nancy is seen crocheting a muffler that both Scarlett and Ivy can tell is meant for Zane. The preparations appear to be in full swing, and Scarlett jokingly asks Adrian to bring her stars when the boy turns to her for help, asking what is it that she'd like for a gift. On the other hand, Ivy decides to keep the heart-shaped Christmas card at home that she prepared for Zane. The card is found by her parents, who look worried about their daughter's interests as she keeps scoring low grades but looks so enthusiastic about wooing someone. Since the card doesn't have Zane's name on it, they fail to realize who is meant to receive it, and her mother even turns to Zane for help. She asks the young man if he knows the guy her daughter might be in love with, rendering him speechless. The possibility that he can be the person her daughter is crushing on seems like a far cry to the older woman, and Zane comforts her by saying that he'll look into the matter. Next day, Ivy decides that her card is too small a gift for Zane compared to the muffler that Nancy knitted herself, so she decides to knit something for Zane as well, but fails miserably. Scarlett even advises her against it since she's terrible at it. Although already well aware, Ivy once again realizes that Nancy is better than her in every aspect, including using a chance to her benefit. She happens to watch the beautiful girl hand over a gift box to Zane and assumes that it must be the muffler that the girl was crocheting a few days ago. Heartbroken, she wishes for a snowfall the next day, and Abraham overhears her unconsciously praying it out loud. He immediately starts looking out for the weather anxiously, hoping that it really starts snowing by tomorrow. Meanwhile, Adrian takes Scarlett's wish too seriously and presents her with a certificate of having a star named after her. I wonder how that works, though. But Scarlett genuinely appreciates the effort. Next day happens to be Christmas Eve, and the students are instructed to clean their classrooms before leaving for the holiday. While they're busy sorting the classroom for the holiday, they suddenly notice the snow falling outside the classroom window. It turns out to be Abraham using artificial means to fulfill Ivy's wish, but luck seems to be on his side as the real snow follows soon afterwards. Everyone exchanges gifts, taking it as a good sign, including Scarlett and Adrian. The girl ends up giving him the gift that she prepared for Dr. Mark as she couldn't find him on the campus. Unaware of the story behind this gift, Adrian looks quite happy to accept it. Meanwhile, the sudden drop in temperature due to snowfall makes it quite hard to function without warm clothing. Zane uses this opportunity to offer his muffler to Ivy on their way back to home. She looks a bit hesitant to accept it considering it's a gift from Nancy, but he playfully exposes that it's his mother's. The revelation instantly makes her snuggle with the piece of cloth as if it's a part of her body. On the way back to home, she keeps thinking about the upcoming school picnic as she plans to use this chance to romantically propose to Zane once again. Ivy looks quite hopeful that he won't reject her this time. A few days later, Scarlett is once again on a mission to follow Dr. Mark to the movie theater, unaware that Adrian is following her as well. The pair gets discovered and is taken as a couple sneaking out to movies by Dr. Mark. The man accompanies them to the movie in a bid to support their romance, leaving Scarlett disappointed with the outcome of her actions. She gets to sit with Adrian and has to bear his childish antics at every horror scene that appears on the screen. Comparatively, she herself looks calm in the face of such scenes, making the situation reverse of what's normally expected during the screening of horror movies. The picnic day arrives soon, and everyone looks excited to take their last chance on pursuing the person they like before having to part forever. Adrian keeps looking for a chance to confess his feelings to Scarlett while she's busy having her eyes only for Dr. Mark. At night, everyone gathers around the makeshift dinner table and enjoys the feast when Nancy pretends to be a fragile beauty, asking Zane to unscrew her water bottle. However, before Ivy can get jealous, the young man proceeds to take her water bottle and open it for her as well. Ivy can detect the subtle message from his actions that he cares for her and brightens up immediately. Later that night, she invites Zane to go meet her at the back of their temporary residence, where Scarlett and Adrian help her create a romantic atmosphere to confess her feelings to him. She patiently waits for him to arrive, almost sure that Zane will accept his proposal this time, but things don't go as planned. Zane does arrive there, but instead of heading towards her, he's seen busy talking to Nancy, and the pair eventually appears to be leaning towards each other for a kiss. Although tormented, Ivy keeps staring at them with disbelief until Abraham arrives there and pulls her in his embrace, obstructing the view. However, a great misunderstanding appears to be at play here, as when Zane arrives there a few moments later, he looks hurt to see Ivy in Abraham's embrace. Both the young men finally confront each other that night, and Abraham admits to liking Ivy. Zane responds with an "I don't care" attitude, as if he's unbothered to have a rival in love, or perhaps he doesn't love the girl at all. However, a flashback from a few days earlier reveals that Zane is actually in love with Ivy, as he appears to be secretly smiling when Ivy's mother shares her concerns with him, saying she's afraid that her daughter is in love with someone. If anything, he looks proud to be that person. Next day, he tries to explain the incident from the previous night to Ivy, but she keeps avoiding the painful topic, leaving the details in dark as to what actually transpired between Zane and Nancy. However, a conversation between Dr. Mark and Zane reveals that Nancy is going through a tough phase in her mental health, following the pressure from her parents to excel in studies. The girl appears to be at her wit's end, as she's finding it hard to concentrate on her studies. But she also has to maintain her image of being a topper. Losing that title can add to the blow she's already feeling, and therefore she decides to steal exam paper from the staff room. However, she's caught red-handed by the dean, and rumors of her misdeed are quick to circulate around the school, causing other students to shame her and leave her alone. The incident only adds to the depression she's already battling through. On the other hand, Abraham keeps facing difficulty during his swimming practice and competitions. His performance keeps going down, and his doctor reveals that he may have to take a break from swimming, as he might not be able to move his shoulder as flexibly anymore as is required for the sport. The revelation deals him a heavy blow, as he viewed his future in being an athlete. However, Ivy encourages him to keep going and to look for the better in every situation. She tells him that not being able to swim can't take away his right to love the sport and to stay in touch with it in other forms, such as being a mentor. That night, while pondering over her words, Abraham painfully realizes that Zane is as important for Ivy as is swimming to him, and that the girl may never stop loving him. Next day, their class is tasked with trimming the school gardens, and someone spreads a rumor that finding and gifting a four-leafed flower to the person you like can bring your love to life. As expected of a bunch of teenagers, everyone gets to search for it, and Scarlett manages to find one pretty quickly. The girl leaves it in the school infirmary in Dr. Mark's absence, unaware of Adrian following her and discovering her actions. Poor young man looks quite heartbroken to realize that he has been running after an illusion and disappears from the school for the next few days. On the other hand, Nancy is losing her mind due to all the pressure and judgmental stares, and decides to self-medicate in Dr. Mark's absence. The girl ends up taking the wrong medicine or dose and loses consciousness. One thing leads to another, and she's immediately brought to the hospital when found. Her family demands an explanation from the school, and Dr. Mark voluntarily takes the responsibility, thus resigning from his position. Nancy admits to her mistakes in front of the school staff and how the wrong medicine was her own fault, but he doesn't take back the resignation, while everyone else learns that Nancy is also leaving the school to study in the United States. Scarlett has no option but to tearfully bid goodbye to her first crush. A few days pass by and things slowly start falling back to their place. Adrian still hasn't returned to school, and rumor has it that he may be sick. However, he comes back much to everyone's shock with a completely altered outlook. Gone are the nerdy glasses, and his regular let-down hair is dyed red, styled in a trendy hairstyle. The young man confidently approaches the sports room stage and talks about true love and heartbreak with his fellow peers. The change and confidence in his personality is already a surprise to his classmates, but things hit a new level of excitement when Adrian confesses his love for Scarlett in front of everyone. The girl seems to be in the stage of moving on and looks pleased with the unexpected confession. With the graduation approaching soon, Ivy and other students are offered admission counseling from the school. She wishes to follow Zane, but with his excellent grades, he aims for a prestigious university. While for Ivy, it'd already be a miracle if she's accepted by any university at all. She has no option but to accept the bitter truth. Meanwhile, Abraham decides to rejoin his training program after a period of hiatus. He goes to meet Ivy one last time and chooses not to keep any regrets. His sincere confession brings the girl to tears as she can understand his feelings but can't reciprocate them. Love is just that complicated. You understand each other's heartbreak, but can't force yourself to save the other from it. Abraham assures her that her company has been the most beautiful part of his last 2 years at the school. When the final results are announced, Ivy manages to pass the minimum threshold but fails to secure admission in any university at all. She cries her heart out in front of Zane, who tries his best to console her and suggests that she repeats a year of study with different subjects. She likes the idea and decides to act on it. Abraham keeps working hard and finally gets selected for the Olympics. The man secures a gold medal for his country, earning international recognition, and gives a shout out to Ivy for her upcoming exams. However, the girl instantly starts crying upon realizing that now everyone must be aware that she's repeating a year of study. Finally, Scarlett also decides to move on with Adrian and tells him that he now has her, his girlfriend. Time passes by quickly. Ivy finally manages to get good grades and follow Zane to his university. Zane takes his chance at the freshers' party and announces to everyone that Ivy is his girlfriend, leaving everyone dumbstruck. Amongst those affected by the announcement the most, Ivy is the first person. She finds it hard to believe her hearing ability, but it's exactly what she just heard. Zane chose to be brave and openly pursue her. The scene then shifts to show that 4 years have passed. Zane is now a busy doctor, always immersed in his research, and often forgets to take some time out for his girlfriend. Ivy tries to compromise with it, but still finds it hurtful, especially when she watches her friends making efforts to take some time out for each other every day. Things start to get frustrating for her with Zane's constant absence from her life and having to deal with several problems on her own. One particular day, she has an especially bad day with a failed interview and a harassment attempt made on her at the art school. Feeling down, she decides to visit Zane at the hospital and happens to overhear 2 nurses talking about how he's offered to complete his research at a university in the USA. The revelation crumbles the already weakened wall of wanting to hold on to her love, and Ivy decides to free him of her burden. She proposes a breakup upon meeting Zane, and he fails to talk her out of it due to an emergency announced in the hospital speakers. When Zane finally runs back to the waiting area after the emergency surgery, Ivy is long gone. For the next few days, he keeps trying to contact her, but to no avail. Zane has no choice but to leave without meeting her. 2 years pass by, and he completes his research before coming back to the country. However, he makes no effort to contact Ivy. That is until he one day comes across Ivy and Abraham, who seem to have come to the hospital together. Zane doesn't get to talk to her as they both leave soon. It's revealed that Abraham is visiting Ivy's father, who's currently admitted in this hospital, and the visit goes exceptionally well thanks to his popularity as a famous athlete. When Zane realizes the truth of the matter, he tries his best to give the family a comfortable stay at the hospital. He's already quite favored by the elderly couple, and also brings his friend Dr. Maria to look at the older man's health. Dr. Maria completed her research by his side in the United States and has a bubbly personality. The girl instantly cozies up to Ivy upon learning that the pair have been childhood friends and tries asking her about Zane's girlfriend from 2 years back. Taken aback, Ivy asks for her reason for asking, and the girl reveals how he always talked about his ex-girlfriend throughout his time in the States. The realization that she wasn't unimportant for Zane comes as an unseen relief for Ivy, who has been believing that she was just a burden on him. Zane hasn't been in contact with any of his friends in the past years, but Ivy's father becomes the reason he gets to reunite with his old friends, including Adrian and Scarlett. It so happens that their high school also seems to have organized a reunion party for their old students, and the pair decides to go there individually. On his way to the party, Zane spots Ivy leaving for the place as well and offers to go there together. They leave the hospital together, and the car ride appears quite awkward given the years of silence between them. But that awkwardness is nothing compared to what she feels the next day upon realizing that they kissed last night after the party. Things eventually smoothen out a bit between them, and they start seeing each other often, though not rekindling the old romance yet. Adrian and Scarlett finally decide to get married, and they invite their friends and classmates to the ceremony. Abraham gets to be the best man holding Adrian's ring securely until the ceremony starts, while Ivy is surprised to meet Nancy at the ceremony. The girl confessed to some old truths when Ivy tells her that they broke up years ago. Nancy reveals that Zane has always been in love with her, and that nothing happened between them at the night of the school picnic. She was being desperate under stress, but he had chosen to avoid her and told her that he was in love with Ivy. The fact that she's always been the one for Zane comes crashing down at Ivy. As if luck too would want to compensate them for all the time lost, Zane happens to be the one catching the bouquet after the wedding and passes it on to Ivy, causing everyone to tease them for being a couple. They finally reconcile and decide to put a ring to it without wasting any more time. On the other hand, Dr. Maria turns out to be Abraham's fan, and the pair end up dating each other after a few accidental meetings. The series comes to an end with all 5 of the friends being happy and blissfully in love with their partners.